That being said, as a young tech, what would you suggest is the best way to find that person? That's got to be tough.
Well, it's in the eye of the beholder, right? Because you could have one tech that likes, man, this guy's got these 36-inch wheels on his 4-wheel drive, and they guys get to have a
Yeah.
beer when they come back to the shop, and as a single 21, yeah, I get it. I mean, versus the other shop may be very professionally run, and you hear about, man, these guys have to, they got to work X amount of hours a week, or they've got to go to X amount of training classes, or they, blah, blah, blah. And some of the standards might scare off somebody who's like, oh, I don't want to be controlled, like that.
Yeah.
But if you're working for somebody, I think there's an ethical and a moral responsibility for you to do what the man's asking you to do. And if you can't do it to your best of your ability, or worse yet, you won't do it, man, that's stealing. He's paying you money and you're not
Right.
doing what you're supposed to. And that's like stealing.
It's a good point though. Different technicians would see the goal company to work for very differently from tech to tech. And you're right, there would be people that would say, we're going to come back to the shop, we're going to have a beer every day, we'll do it right after we get done with work, don't worry, it's still professional, it's after work, which we all would be like a red flag for a lot of people,
For
for
a
most
lot of people,
people.
that would be.
But that might be appealing to, like you said, to someone who's young. So they may have to develop for a few years. I mean, I was young. I made a lot of wrong decisions. I was that technician, or I would have been till my early 20s. And it happened when I got a family, is when you wise up, for me anyway. But I mean, so you might spend a few years not knowing what you want. And I talked to you before the show about this. I mean, the guys going into HVAC, if you went to school, you must have some intentionality about what you're going to do with your life because you went to school for it. Uh, I mean, how far out should, in your opinion, knowing the guys you've run across, how far out should you be planning? How much leeway should you give yourself? Should it be like, I'm 20 years old, I know what I want to do when I'm 55? Or is it, we'll see what happens?
Rare is the person who can describe their retirement home to me in great detail, or their life. Okay, so and anyway, and I think it's like the average person's having somewhere between 8 and 13 jobs now in their different careers. Think back all the different little things that even I've done. I fit in that category, and as well, doing different things as the seasons change, both in your life and in the market. Because like in software days, if my brother and myself are still trying to sell IBM 286,
Oh, yeah.
3.55 and a quarter inch floppy disk drive machines, but they're real cheap. People, that's like I've got a JVC TV that I'm trying to get rid of. It's an old tube type. Do you know how many people want an old? It works great, by the way. Zero.
Zero. Yeah.
You can stick it out on the curb, and nobody's going to come get it. So we've all got spoiled as we grow, and it's just seasons change and people change.
That's true. Time goes by. It took a long time before I really smartened up, and a lot of it was, like I said, got a family. Actually, when I got on YouTube, starting to do YouTube stuff, I noticed there was a lot of guys who were really professional, did a lot of things that I didn't do out there, and I saw they got results, and especially in the area of measurement. Like you said, you work with Jim on Measure Quick.
I
Like
do.
seeing what you're working on and understanding what you're working on really opens the door because it also shows you that you can actually do it. I mean, it's not
Yes.
something that you're too dumb to do. Do you see a lot of that when you do the outdoor university stuff with guys coming up there?
Um, sure. You talking about like having an aha moment, or
Yeah, just sort of waking up to that wider picture of what they can accomplish.
I've had so many cool stories after the guys get back. One is a good example. I had a older senior tech that his hand, you could not read his handwriting. Okay, and this is back as wasn't really using a computer in the truck then, so everything was still handwritten, which still is the case today, believe it or not, for a lot of people.